get started with Steve Lloyd. So welcome, everybody. I am Nancy Mangum, and I'm joined by Teresa Gibson today, and we are your co-hosts. And I'm going to pull up my screen now and get us started. So welcome, everyone, to our Innovative Leaders Virtual Conference today. This time it is, I don't know, mine keeps on doing that, advancing that, but yeah, so they're excited to get started. So let's get going. This is our Innovative Leaders Virtual Conference featuring our Wyoming Innovative Leaders. And these leaders have been a part of a program the past 6 months sponsored by the Wyoming Department of Ed and the Friday Institute. And so Teresa and I are very glad to be your host and to introduce you to these amazing leaders. I believe this is our 4th session of the day. All of these will be archived, which we'll give you more information about later. So today's presenter for this session is Steve Lloyd, and Steve is going to talk about personalizing professional learning in a rural district. And with that, I'm going to turn my screen over to Steve. All right.
Okay, are we good to go?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Well, thank you, Nancy and Teresa. I really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit. I don't have a lot to present today as far as substance. I really, this is a conversation I think we could have. But I want to kind of give you a little bit of background about me and then where we're at with this journey we're looking at. So, again, my name is Steve Lloyd. I'm a superintendent in a small rural district. We have about 520 students thereabouts in rural Wyoming. Our closest district is about 40 miles away, 35 miles away. The next one's about 50, and then it goes on from there. So we're very rural in the west side of Wyoming. And so we were looking at some ways, and with part of this presentation of Teresa and Nancy put together, one of the things they shared with was a thing I haven't heard of called Ed Camp. And that sounded kind of interesting. And so I did some research and looked into it. And actually, it was at one of our meetings. I said, this sounds awesome. I'm going to hit these other superintendents up and see if they want to be interested in looking at something for next year with this. So what I did is I just threw it out and said, hey, is anyone interested in this? I don't really know much about it, but we'll learn as we go. And so did that. And kind of taking a step back, why we did that. Being in a very rural district, we have a lot of singleton teachers, and we try very hard to do the PLC model. And it becomes very difficult to work with, collaborate people who are doing the same thing you are. You are the only one teaching math for the entire building or whatever it may be with that. So it's very hard our professional development and then also to have people who have unique needs as a rural district would. I've taught in districts from 300 students to 300,000 students, and I see there's a big difference, trust me, and how things operate. I was in Clark County in Las Vegas and a little small district in Nebraska. And so how they operate and how they can share is very different. And it's very unique in our area because we're so rural that it's hard for our teachers to collaborate. And so, and get good professional, that means something to them. That, it's not somebody who's the expert that I always, the Two Rivers story, if there are two rivers away, they've got to be an expert. So, and sometimes that doesn't work in our area because we have a different kind of situation where we're the only teacher and we're very rural and our kids, those exposures. So trying to find people who have like interests or like needs as us, and then work with them on a collaborative basis. And so this is how it all started. So I emailed some superintendents and I said, hey, who's crazy enough to jump on this train with me? And a couple of them said, yeah, we're interested. And so luckily, Pinedale and it's Sublet 1, I'll throw them out. They were the first one to commit, and we actually scheduled a professional development day together in our calendars, which those who've worked on calendars, if you ever have done that, that's a feat in itself to have a day that matches up with somebody else. So we were able to do that. And we're using the Ed Camp philosophy. I wouldn't say we're exactly Ed Camp because it's, a little different, but it's that first kickoff to get it going. And I'm pretty excited about it. And I'll kind of tell you our journey and where we're at. And nothing is right what we do, but I don't think anything's wrong. We're just kind of in that, and then we're learning as we go along, and it's been a lot of fun. And the excitement of some of our teachers has been really nice to go, hey, I get to go work with somebody who does what I do, and with kids like mine in an area like mine. They understand what I'm doing, and so that's the exciting part with that. And so we were just in the planning phase of this, and I'll go through with this. So the one district, it's Sublet 1 and Sublet 9 are doing this together. We have invited some other districts too, and they may or may not join us because they couldn't get the day, but they're welcome to send teachers. So I'm going to go through a slideshow and kind of talk through a little bit. And if anyone has questions, you can throw something in the chat, or at the end, we'll kind of answer all your questions that I may have skipped over. So we'll try and do this and see how it goes. All right. We good?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. So
So
I'm going to go through this and kind of just talk about this. So, and I probably broke some copyright laws and whatnot along the way. So if you want to turn me in, I guess you can, but we'll just see how that goes. So I'm just calling it Wyoming Ed Camp 2019. I don't know if anyone else has done this before or not. I have no idea. If they have this coin somewhere else, I stole it, I guess. But anyhow, we're looking at Sublet 1 and Sublet 9, and we're about, like I said, this is the closest district to us. We're about 40 miles apart, give or take a little bit with that. And the others may be, we're looking at Sweetwater, which is close by, a small school called Farson, and then Kimmer, which is down the road. They just couldn't get the day to work, but I talked to their superintendent. She'd like to send some teachers as well. So, so Sublet 1 and Sublet 9 have worked together. We've had a couple of meetings, and I'll kind of explain how we've done with that to just get it kicked off. And I appreciate Jay Harnick up there. The superintendent was, I guess, crazy enough to say, yeah, I'll do it with you. Sure, why not? So that was nice that he did that. And so we are moving forward with that. And so just to kind of give you an idea, so a lot of small rural schools, and those who have this know this, you have your rival, right? They're close by. So we don't care much for the regulars, and the regulars don't care much for the punchers. That's the past. So we started working together. What kind of got going with this is our student council did a project together to raise money for a fire near our community. I thought that was nice, and our kids working together instead of always fighting. Well, this teachers kind of had that same thing, oh, I don't like green, I don't like red. Well, we're blending red and green together. So it's pretty nice. And so we're working together with the whole purpose of improving learning and student success. That's what it's all about. That's why we do what we do, right? And all of us have that same goal in mind. So why don't we work together, work smarter, not harder? So that's kind of the idea of this. So very excited about this. I don't know if this has been done before in the district. I think they've tried a couple times and it's failed, but this is moving forward with a lot of momentum. So kind of looking at this, what is Ed Camp? And I just stole this from their things. So it's an opportunity for teachers. And I think it's the timely resource piece I like, that work together to empower this ongoing professional development. That's the big piece. It's not just a one-shot deal. Our idea is they start this off, and hopefully they'll build those connections so they can carry this on throughout the year, right? And then we're hopefully at the end of the year or towards the end of the year, we'll have another time we can get together at least a half day and kind of bring things back together a little bit with this. So I think it's very exciting having other people to work with you as you go along in this professional journey. We can't shut the doors. We can't shut the district anymore and work in our little own silos. It just doesn't work. There's too much out there. And for me, I'm just not smart enough. So I have to work with other people. So that works out pretty good for me. So the big premise about Ed Camp is it's participant driven. So how we did that is we asked teachers, what do you want to learn? And Ed Camp will change a little bit. They do it like the day of. For just logistics and get this going, we asked that, hey, what would you like to teach, or what would you like to learn, and what would you like to teach? And we sent a Google out to all of our staff, and we had about 70, 80 out of 150 or so, 140 respond with either, here's what I'd like to learn, 1, 2, 3, or here's what I'm willing to teach, which is great. So we got a good group of that, and we had about 80 responses, I said. About right now, I think there's about 15 or 16 people who are willing to share. And so we're hoping that will increase a little bit as people kind of know what we're doing. Because we just did the same thing with our staff, said, hey, this is a weird idea. What do you think? And then they just did it. So it's great to have that early buy-in for that. The other thing is experience, not experts. I really like this part is that, yeah, it's great to bring in those speakers and, Solution Tree, they're awesome. They make lots of money. Good for them. I think it's great. But, when we look at these, what are we going to learn most from is our people who do the same thing. I did this yesterday in the classroom. That makes more sense than theoretically, if you do this, kids will do that. So that's what we're learning to do. And it's a lot of it's about conversation like we're doing now. Maybe a little bit of planned presentation, but it doesn't necessarily have to be much planned. It can be very organic. And I'm more organic, and I know that a lot of people would like to have it a little bit more structured. So we're kind of trying to find a balance with that this first time around as we get through that. So that's where we're at right now. And then finally, does it meet your needs? I mean, you go to training and you go, geez, why am I here? Because you get to pick what you go to, right? I don't need to go find about how PE teachers teach a kid to dunk a basketball. That would never been taught to me. As you can tell from the video, maybe I'm not 6'6". I'm telling you that right now. So anyhow, as we go with that, so they get to pick what they want to go to. And I'll kind of explain the logistics here in a minute, but that's the premise of what is EdCamp if you haven't heard it before. And this is the first time I really heard about it at one of our meetings, which is pretty exciting for me. And I wish I'd known about it earlier because I think it has a lot of power, and it puts a power where it belongs in the teachers, right? Where they're going to get the learning that they need and at the time they need it. So that's what EdCamp is if you're not sure about that. Next thing is why EdCamp? Why would you waste your time doing this? And I put in this little word cloud, you can see these are what some of the things they've asked for already. So you can kind of read through that, but it's teacher driven. That's the buy-in part. They want to be there because this is what they want to learn. It's what they want to get better at as a professional. It's going to create our district to district collaboration. Because of our small numbers, we just don't have the numbers to have good collaborative discussions with people who do like jobs as us. So that's a big piece for us. And then it's timely and meaningful professional development. It meets what they need at the time they need it. And so that's kind of the idea with this. And then things may change. Some of our things in our world may change because, we're 6 months, 6, 7, 8 months away. There may be different things they want to learn about, which we can do that. It can be very organic in that and change very quickly if need be. But so that's why we do it, right? It's going to be something that's going to impact teachers and students immediately. So just some information. So we are scheduled for October 25th, 2019. There is no requirement to register. It'd be nice if you let us know you're coming just so we can have it because we're going to have lunch. But, if you want to bring a sack lunch, just show up, knock yourself out. And it's open to who can make it. It's going to be at Pinedale High School. They were gracious, and we're going to host our first year there. And I think next year then we'd host it in Big Piney so that we share that. And it's going to start about 8:45 and then to 3 o'clock. And we're still working out the details on how that's going to work. But right now we're looking at probably have 150 participants. I hope more people come and just show up and learn about different things they want to learn about. But we have 4 breakout sessions we're planning right now. 3 of those are from that list you saw, right? Whatever you choose to go to during that. The other one, which I think is going to be really, really awesome, is it's going to be broke up by content or grade level. So all the 3rd grade teachers can get together and just do some chit chat and whatever, share ideas or whatever. You're going to have the science teachers, because in our building we have 2. Well, Pinedale has 2. There's 4 teachers that get together and they can talk about sciencey stuff. I like that because I'm a science nerd, right? So that works out perfect. That's right to hang out. The administrators get together. They're going to have their own breakout sessions. Everyone have a breakout session that meets what there are. The specialties, which is really hard in our district, you have, I am the art teacher. Okay. Well, you can go with another art teacher that, does the same thing you do. So it'll be very helpful, I think, for our singleton teachers to do that. But that's the one breakout session we did. And the other 3 are completely up to you, whatever you choose to do. And the thing is, too, with EdCamp, if you go in there and you go, this isn't meeting my needs, you are free to walk out and go next door to the one that you think might. I thought I needed mindfulness. I don't have a mind, so I'm going to go next door. There's something else, or whatever it may be. That's not mindfulness, those that are listening. I don't mean to throw mindfulness under the bus, but there you go. So, and then, so right now we have about 14 topics and we have about 50 presentations throughout the day. So pretty good spattering of what you can pick. So And then if you want, there's some things, and I know this is being archived, so you can email any of those folks down there below if you want more information about it. Where we're at, we're putting together a digital registration just so people can find that. We're putting that map together now. So I think we're using, is it Everbright? I think is the conference tool that we're putting that together. So that'll all be on there with a little blurb. And I know that's not exactly how EdCamp works, where you're supposed to be organizing the day of, but we're also busing people, and it's kind of a, we're trying to be more efficient with our time, just because time is of the essence when we're doing this thing. So it's not exactly that is, but you certainly can pick. And if you get there and you don't like the session that you went to, you can change at any time. But that just gives us some idea about, does this room need to have 10 chairs or 50 chairs? So we want to try and get that ironed out so that the high school can prepare for that properly, because we don't know what's going to happen this first year. So a little bit more structured probably than typical ed camp would be. So that's all I got. So I guess questions that you have, or things you'd like to share, or things I can answer that might be jumping at you, and I may not have the answer, and I'll just say, I don't know. So, but that's what I got.
Well, Steve, that was great. Thank you so much. And, I think you kept on mentioning that this wasn't exactly like EdCamp might have typically been run, but I think you and the other organizers have definitely captured the essence of EdCamp and definitely the essence of personalized learning. I think that you giving those options to teachers will be an amazing opportunity for them, and just being able to bring them together across the districts. The multiple districts, and it sounds like you might even have some others now. I mean, you might have some folks from North Carolina show up.
Come on down. It'll be exciting. I don't know what they're serving for lunch, but it's going to be something good. I told Jay, you better make it something good. So there you go.
Will it be snowing in October?
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. But no, I think that you definitely captured the essence of what it is and personalized learning. And I love the fact that you're thinking outside the box as well, and giving teachers that planning, that common kind of that planning time, or that time to come together, because I think that is a really wonderful opportunity for them to kind of be somewhat forced, or maybe not so, but have that opportunity to come together across the with the other science teachers or the other third grade teachers.
And we thought with that we'd have probably somebody just facilitate it. That would be very organic, where you can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about at that time. So that's going to be very open, and we actually added that time to be a little longer than the other sessions, just because we don't know how it's going to go. And then we're doing lunch together afterwards at the building, so it'll continue. So there's a lot of restaurants, but we thought, wouldn't it be nice? So you just got done chatting with all your new friends, and you go have lunch and have it almost like a working lunch, or at least the conversations can continue into lunch. And so that's kind of the idea with that too, that can be a nice long time to develop those relationships with somebody else like you in teaching, so that you can carry that on throughout the year, right?
Yeah, that's such a great idea. So I have and it looks like Pete is wanting you to stay in touch with him, because he has 4 districts within 40 miles of each other,
right,
where he is. So he's going to take some notes from you and hopefully replicate this, which will be
absolutely
awesome.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I hope it gets contagious throughout the state. I mean, it'd be neat. And we have, some districts have a little bit more travel, but there's always one that's close by. And a lot of us have the same unique needs, is that even the larger districts, even within their district, they can do that, because sometimes we want to go and chase around, and even new initiatives that you put in a district. Hey, I don't know how you're doing the workshop model. How does it work in your building? Well, wouldn't it be nice to have 6 other people who are doing the same thing? You're doing the same grade level to talk about those things and get better at our craft, right?
That's awesome. So I have a question for you, and it sounds like Teresa does too, but I'm gonna in here first. I'm gonna like jump in. Ask this question. I'm curious. How are you identifying the teacher presenters for the other sessions, or district administrators? How are you?
So good question. So what we did is, on our Google form we put out, we said, what would you like to learn? What would you be willing to teach? And so from that, we pulled out the folks who kind of matched up with our themes that we had about 14. I said, things that came up that were pretty common. A couple of them were very specific that we said, maybe right now is not the time for that. But, and then, so we just matched up those people who would be willing to do that. And it's nice. And I think we even have, which is going to be pretty cool, I think, a couple sessions where the teachers will be co-teaching it, one from our district, one from their district. So they'll co-present that to the group and just look at that. So that's how the teachers were selected. They're self-selected. And what we're doing is to fill in a few more gaps because we'd like to have 20 presenters. And I think right now we have 14. Mm-hmm. We're going to ask each building's asking some of their teachers who didn't sign up that they feel are very strong to make a presentation that they would on something they would think would be meaningful.
I think you better get Steve Miller and his 8th grade teacher to present.
Come over and present.
Crack the whip. There you go.
Yeah, like if he hasn't already signed up, you better get him. Better get him to, right? Because isn't he's in sublet 1, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and I'm not sure who has signed up yet, knows, but he may be already signed up, which that's what we want. We want those people who have some neat idea or share something they can take and go back to the classroom, hopefully immediately and make an impact. So,
yeah. Well, you better get on Steve Miller there.
All right.
Right.
Make sure he's got his guy signed up. So, or gal, I don't know what it is. Yeah. So.
Yeah, his teacher.
Yes.
All right.
So Steve, I know you alluded to it when you were talking earlier. The most interesting piece of this model that you've chosen is the collaboration between your competitor district.
Right.
So I think that model is going to be an important piece of culture. This model of collaboration versus competition, or as opposed to competition. And I'm wondering, I know you're a horizon thinker, so I know you're already thinking about this. What do you expect? What do you think that will do with teachers? And I know they talk about red versus green. So what do you think?
Here's what I think, and it's funny that the kids broke down that barrier first with this student councils getting together, and it really was they really worked hard together, and they had to break down a lot of barriers. They had some things that, because they're very competitive. But I think if we look at what's our goal is to make kids excellent, right? So if we can do that together, we'll both win from that. So we both can win at certain things. And that doesn't mean we're still going to beat them in football. I get that. We will. There's no doubt. But that doesn't mean in the classroom we can have all our kids get better, or even, whatever it is that they're learning about, we can all get better at that craft because it makes us both better. And I think that's the idea. And we did have some teachers, I think, on both sides that were like, we're going to have to work with them. Well, yeah. Isn't that great? Isn't that awesome? We have them right next door. You have an expert in something that you are not, that is right next door. Or you're an expert and you can share that with somebody right next door. And then you can have that conversation carry out throughout the year. And so and I think a lot of it's going to be from the leadership has to do that. We've been meeting with the group right now has been just really easygoing and working well together. The administrators and a couple teachers that are on there was like, yeah, no big deal. So I think it's just modeling that it's okay to have competition, but it's also, what are we competing for? Great kids, right? So when we do that, we make each other better. It's like two great athletes running and a run, and they get faster because you are running the fastest kid. Well, even if I don't take first, I'm better than I was because I ran with this kid. I don't run, so I'm hoping that's correct. But, but when you're chasing somebody, you get better, right? You're gonna get faster. So even though the other person may win the race, you're much better than you were to start because of where you were pushed. And so we want to push each other to get better. And I think you do that through sharing, and then hopefully that collaboration piece continues. That's my hope.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, that is a wonderful way to kind of sum it up. And then it looks like there's a lot of interest. You have to check out the chat over there. Lots of head nods and
going on.
Yeah,
not just that.
That's right. Yes. But thank you, Steve, for presenting today. And we look forward to hearing about how it goes, and for you to continue to share with our Innovative Leaders group the lessons learned. And I'm sure you might have people emailing you now and picking your brain.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I don't think it'll be perfect, and it's not, but it's a start. And it's where we're going to go. And like I said, I'm usually the one that just jumps in and I ask, is there water in the pool? I hope so, because I'm already in air. So, we'll build it as the commercial when they build it. That's my favorite, is they're building as they go along. We'll build the plane as we're flying. We got to get flying, though. And I think it's a good opportunity for all of us to grow and get better. and that's what we're about. And if not, then gosh darn, we're in the wrong business, right? I think because it's good for kids, and if it's good for kids, shouldn't we do it? I think so. So.
Yep.
Absolutely.
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 Well, thank you for sharing today. And
Yeah.
I think that everybody knows it's going to be great. And we can't wait to hear how it goes.
And I appreciate everyone being on. And like I said, don't hesitate to ask questions. I may not have the answers, but I can share with you everything we've done. And I'm sure somebody else can make it a lot better down the road, which is great. And then we'll take it from you and we'll get better the next time we do it. So it's how you do it to get better. You all work together. And I think that's exciting. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve Lloyd. We appreciate it. And thanks for everybody for joining us. This will be recorded. And so if you, we will share
Teresa
that.
and Nancy, thank you for the spark, right? I mean, if it wasn't for you guys, this wouldn't be happening. So thank you.
Oh,
thank you, Steve. We're glad that we were there and get to learn with you now as you play this out. So
absolutely. And if it fails, I know who to blame.
Yeah, blame us. There you go.
Blame us.
Blame us.
It will fail. All right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Steve.
All right. Y'all have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.